So who and what are leading the way into this new era of technology? Well, CNNmoney.com put up a very interesting article. They're called The Four Horsemen of Tech. You know, when you hear Four Horsemen, I think everybody thinks Revelations and Apocalypse. And the article actually was very decidedly, it was very optimistic. But I think the apocalypse really is kind of on this, this old way of doing things, this old era of technology that we've been in. And these four really seem to be ushering in this new era of technology. So from on the left is Jeff Bezos. He owns Amazon, or not owns it, but he's the CEO of Amazon. Amazon actually outperformed Walmart last year in online sales. And they're doing so much more than just selling books and product online. They're actually delivering solutions to companies like mine and yours, you know, storage, all kinds of cloud services, really leading the way. The second one is Ginny Romney from IBM, also making huge strides into cloud. And then you've got Tim Cook from Apple and Larry Page from Google. The commonality between all these companies is that they're all very much invested in cloud and or mobile technologies. So who else is driving change? Well, the short answer is you. How many people have heard of this phrase, consumerization of IT? Anybody? You're probably hearing more and more about it. Tablets, mobile phones, anything that allows you to consume content becomes so widespread now that y'all are bypassing the CIO, the CTO, the IT manager, companies like mine, and just doing it on your own. Instead of saving stuff to the company server, you go out and get a Dropbox account or a Google Docs account and just do all your work there. So there's some good things there. It's about, you know, self-empowerment, just getting stuff done, not having to deal with the bureaucracy of the IT help desk. I get that. But from my perspective, obviously, from the CTO's perspective, there are some real concerns regarding security, regarding regulatory compliance. Nonetheless, consumers are very much in the driver's seat right now, / employees. Small business. You will see I already said this last year, it's going on now. You're going to see a huge entrepreneurial boom, and I think a lot of that's going to come out of all of the unemployment that we've had. People are just sick of sitting around, not getting paid, their unemployment's running out. They're like, you know what, I'm going to take matter into my own hands. There's never been an easier time in the history of the world to start a business. You can start it for pretty much nothing. You blow a few dollars, you go out and get your federal EIN number, you give $5 a month to Google for a handful of accounts, you get Google Docs that gives you your email, you can get a website through there, and you're in business. You can be in business for under $500, probably under $200, and get moving. The last crop of people that are driving business and driving new technologies are going to be what I call social businesses. They are really starting to leverage the internet and specifically social media for philanthropic purposes. Social Bride is a site that's essentially what they call a crowdsourcing or crowdfunding website where you come up with an idea, you come up with a project, and then you help spread the word and draw funds in for your project. There was another guy, Global Soap, and I can't think of his name. The Global Soap project used social media and the web to help spread the word about his idea. Very simple idea. He saw all these hotels that were wasting soap. You know, when you go to the hotel, you stay one night, you use soap, and then they throw it away. And he's like, this is crazy. You know, because he was from Africa. He's like, over there we have all these sanitation problems, and there's all this soap going to waste. So he started a project where he would start personally doing it himself at first, going around and collecting soap from all these hotels, and he'd recycle it. Send it over to Africa, this, that, and the other. Long story short, now he's got a full-fledged company out of it. He was actually on CNN Heroes this year, back about 2 weeks ago, and this is now like a worldwide thing. Huge. All powered and pushed through technology and social media. Let's talk about, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that's cloud. If I had one experience, and I know I have a few competitors in the room, so you might be inclined to agree, you may not, I don't know, but if I had one experience to sum up what my client interactions were like in 2012, it would be that everybody has cloud goggles on. They call me up and they're like, I want to go to the cloud. Not even really knowing what that means. It's like, okay, well, let's slow down. Tell me specifically what your pain is. Like, I don't care. I want to get the servers out of here. I want this, that, and the other. It's like, okay. Do you even know what the cloud is? So some of you I realize already probably know, but I feel the need to explain it for those of you that aren't necessarily as tech savvy. First of all, the cloud is nothing more than a marketing term. The cloud has existed pretty much since the internet has existed. It came from when network engineers were drawing network diagrams, and they said workstations here, servers here, switches here. The internet is symbolized by a cloud on a network diagram. That's where it came from, okay? But if we're talking, if we're going to drill down and kind of split hairs, this is how the cloud is divided up. You have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Can anybody tell me what those are that's not in IT? Not in IT. Okay, so starting from the top, this will be the type of cloud play that you're probably most familiar with. That's software as a service. Back in the day, it used to be also called application service providers, okay? There's lots of different ways this can be served up, but the most common ways that you're probably aware of it are hosted Exchange, Google Apps, Salesforce.com. It's where the solution is essentially a website in most cases, and it's off-premise. But it's actually a full-fledged solution. Platform as a service, fewer players in that space. That's like the Amazon, EC2, where it's the cloud storage, the cloud platforms. Salesforce has their own platform as a service that developers can basically build software as a service type things on top of. PaaS, the bottom two, platform as a service and infrastructure as a service, are very geeky stuff and not areas that consumers generally play in. You're mostly going to be familiar with SMBs in general. Even business owners are going to stay in the SaaS space. When you get down to these other two levels, that's when you're calling a company like mine. Infrastructure as a service, very simply put, is some component of core infrastructure that is not at your office. That's the easiest way to put it. It could be one server that's co-located in a data center. It could be a rack of servers. You could also have what's called VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. Say you have a remote workforce and you don't want to have to manage people's home desktops. So you do what's called a virtual desktop infrastructure. People have virtual desktops that sit in a data center and they're accessed by their home computer. Okay, so that's essentially infrastructure as a service. Each has their own purpose. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And probably, I would dare say, get more expensive as you go down the chain for the solution involved. So what we're actually seeing for the SMB space is that people are kind of doing a hybrid approach. They're piecemealing it. So when we talk about cloud, the first and easiest things to generally get rid of are email, CRM, sometimes accounting. That can all go to the cloud, and generally it's at the software as a service level. Okay, hardcore conversations, hardcore, is that the right word? More hardcore conversations come back to like the VDI, for example. If you've got a larger company and you want to control the desktop environment, not have to worry about security issues and all that, then we have a deeper dive, conversation into that. But the majority of SMBs are going to have some combination of this. They'll have a handful of servers here in their office. They'll have email through hosted Exchange or Google Apps because that's so much easier just to get rid of and outsource. And then they might have something on the public internet as well, some kind of a multi-tenant CRM tool, something like that, like Salesforce. So let me look at my notes quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. All this cloud stuff is going to create, or not going to create, it has created a second boom in telecommuting and actually onshoring. It really allows people now more than ever to truly work from home, almost anybody. Before, the telecommuting thing was usually limited to certain types of information workers. But with the advances that we have now, especially with virtual desktop infrastructure, stuff like that, really almost anybody can really work from anywhere. Video conferencing also is going to take off this year, which I think reinforces that. I think the lesson you need to take from do I go cloud, do I not, is what is your strategy? And this is kind of we're really taking a step back and going 50,000 feet. Because at the end of the day, cloud's it's just another medium. It's just another place to park your stuff. But where you park your stuff has certain benefits and advantages. And in this particular case, the advantage is if I park it in the cloud, it's going to be generally always up. It's going to have more bandwidth going to it, and it will facilitate remote workers. Well, guess what today's workers want? They don't want set schedules, okay? They want to work from home. They want to be graded on performance, not whether they show up 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And there are certain types of cloud plays that facilitate that kind of culture. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't think that your business is going to have to go that route, see me in a year and tell me the same thing. There are people that are losing good candidates because they still believe in this old world mentality of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you're still in that mode, I would challenge you to think differently. So let's talk about mobile. This is kind of geeky, but it's important. There's two different 4G protocols, what they call LTE and then HSPCA or something like that. T-Mobile and AT&T were on the HSCPA, and I forgot what Sprint was on. That HSCPA one is actually not a true what they call 4G technology. They call it like 3.5, 3G or 3.5G. LTE is a true 4G technology. Verizon was the first one out to have it, and now AT&T is finally embracing it. Sprint's finally embracing it. T-Mobile, who knows? My guess is that T-Mobile said, we'll hold off until we figure out the merger, which is now dead. But LTE is the new standard. And the only reason I have this up here without getting too geeky is if you're looking at carriers and you're downrange, you're going to renegotiate contracts, and you have a very bandwidth-intensive need for your business, you need to look to a company that has primarily large LTE network. T-Mobile says that they have the largest 4G network, but again, it's on older technology that's not considered truly 4G. Largest LTE network, true 4G network, is Verizon. Give me some examples of where you've seen iPads in use in business besides salespeople. Restaurant. An example?
The Fred.
Oh, yeah, the Fred, yeah, sure. The beer menu. I went to Bones one time. They had it on the wine list. The wine list came out on an iPad. I've been checked into hotels with iPads. It's pretty phenomenal.
Doctors.
What's that?
Doctors.
Sure. Doctors.
Hair salon. Beauty salon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're everywhere now. Apple claims that 92% of the Fortune 500 will either test or deploy iPads in 2012 in some way, shape, or form. 92% of the Fortune 500, which makes up a good chunk of the world's known working force, right? It's pretty impressive. Tablets really are largely becoming our primary devices for consumption. I don't know that they're necessarily productivity tools. I think that they have a way to go before they actually are good at producing or help you produce content. I think a big chunk of that's just because they're missing a keyboard unless you buy one separate. But in terms of actually getting access to real-time information fast, that's the preferred medium. And it's just as easy or easier than carrying around your thick black leather binder with all your notebooks in it. You want to know how much content we consume in a day? Now with tablets, who knows? I thought this was a very interesting graphic. This is 5 hours at the PC plus 2 hours of other computer interaction. That's 7. And if you're anything like me, I don't read anything in print anymore. So that 1.1 in the magazine section, I had that too. 8 hours a day staring at a screen. It's kind of depressing, but it's the culture we are now. We're not even talking about if you have Google TV or Roku devices. That's a whole nother discussion entirely. This is just what we consider to be the current computing world, right? But nonetheless, people are always online, always looking. I think that's the lesson we need to get out of that. This will also, unfortunately, be the year that mobile malware really starts to skyrocket. I think you're going to see a huge hockey stick in terms of number of infections. Hockey stick, graph. We're going to get beaten by a hockey stick, probably. If you're a virus writer, who do you write for? What kind of scenario? You write for where the most devices are, right? This is why it always really irked me when Apple people say, well, I never get a virus. It's like, well, because they don't care about you. You're 5% of the computing planet. What's it going to spread to, like 5 computers and it's shut down? That's no fun. They want it to spread everywhere. Anyways, so now everybody has a smartphone, right? And now everybody has a tablet, or if they're going to get one. It's as much a status symbol as it is a tool, as it is a lifestyle device. they're going to be as prolific as smartphones. So now between the computer, the tablet, and the mobile device, by the way, tablets and smartphones are all kind of lumped into the whole mobile device category. There's plenty of places for hackers to go. But I would dare say that mobile devices and tablets will actually outnumber, if they don't already, PCs. Let's talk about social media. If we go back to the beginning where we watched that very touching Google Zeitgeist for 2011 video, this is one of the themes that I think struck me. You know, the internet actually brought about an age of, initially an age of global consumerism, right? But I think now we're kind of really starting to get into an age of global citizenry, right? Where we get to watch and see what's happening. We get to see the tyranny of what's going on in Egypt and Iran and Syria. I'm sure I'm missing some other Arab country that revolted this year, but it was interesting. We got to see the horror of it real time. We got to watch the Twitter feeds and really see what was going on. Some people got involved. I think that's worth noting. I just wonder where it's going to be in the future. But now more than ever, I think we're going to start to see a trend of us becoming global citizens. Facebook will hit 1 billion users this year. Billion with a B. That's all I'm going to say about that slide. That's pretty jaw-dropping. But this is where it gets interesting, I think. Even though we know Facebook's going to hit 1 billion users, Google Plus, which probably haven't checked in a while, I'm guessing it's around 20 million users right now, not even a drop in the bucket relative to 1 billion, has a compelling social media strategy. I don't know that they'll win against Facebook, and if I had a gun to my head and I was forced to bet, I would say probably won't win. But there are some X factors that might change that. You have to understand where each side's coming from. Facebook started as a social platform and still very much is. Google, with all of its suite of services, really is coming in as a collaboration platform, So it's about collaboration with a social bolt-on and a communication bolt-on vis-a-vis Google Apps. So if you're kind of more, if you want more, I would say intimate relationships and more collaboration and a little less of the frivolity that Facebook is about, the Google Plus might be for you. And it's much more tightly integrated with everything else you do, especially if you're using Google Apps. If you just kind of want to check out the party, Facebook's still your app. I don't know where it's going to lie. I got to read my notes for this one because I know it's some huge figure. Sorry, let me look. Local advertising spending is going to multiply like 6 or 7 times. Is that what it was? Local social media advertising will increase 7-fold by 2016. So what do you think that means for local businesses? What's your strategy? Do you spend more in preparation for that? Do you find another way around? I don't know. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of competing ad dollars at work. Oh, and then the last one. This is probably one of the scarier and less benign things about social media. Background checks. Anybody heard of this company? Social intelligence. If you're an employer, you can hire them, and basically they will run a social media background check on you. So if you went back and had a reunion with your fraternity brothers and you were doing keg stands, they'll probably find the picture. They'll also do social media monitoring. It's not bad enough that they have to go back and look at what's already in your history, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, but then they're going to keep an eye on it. It's a little freaky. I think when we think about information technology, we often think that those of us that have businesses, small businesses, it's, Windows, Microsoft Office, a couple documents, some spreadsheets, maybe some presentations. You might even really go outside the box and get a CRM and start trying to manage that process. Maybe get an accounting or manufacturing, based platform that'll help us streamline our business. But I don't know that we ever spend more time thinking about other ways that we can use technology other than the ways that are just kind of shoveled at us. That's what I really like you to take away from this, is to think about how else you can use IT in your life, in your business, whichever. So what I'll finally leave you with is, if you're still doing things the old way, because that's the way you've always done it, how much longer do you really think that you can get away with that?